Back in the high life again. High life. Yeah, it's pretty early. 4:39 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, January the 5th, 2015. If you're an American football fan and you got a chance to check out the Pittsburgh Steelers being defeated by the Baltimore Ravens on January the 3rd, 2015 on NBC, then there's most likely a good chance that you saw it. You know what? Before I continue any further, let me hang in there. I do all my videos live. Even though I'm going to waste a little bit of time here, it's perfectly meaningful. So what I need you to do is I need you to hang in there, take some time out, visit the link below, realcombatmedia.com, and also subscribe. I'm going to play for you something. Goddamn, fucking remote don't have no batteries in it. That's some shit. I'm going to play for you something that, as a matter of fact, I'll use my own video as reference. So what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about Haymon boxing. Haymon boxing is for real, more than for real. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get to my YouTube video and we're going to play a little bit of information, audio from Mr. HBO Jim Lampley. HBO Fight Game 60. So here we go. So just hang in there, and all this is going to make sense. I know people are saying, what am I watching this video? Where do I click the button for? Hang in there. Relax. So, my bad.
Of boxing as a risk versus reward.
Of course I was
Listen. Person of the year is a man who's widely acknowledged to have, on behalf of his star client Floyd Mayweather, mastered that equation like no other manager in history. But our designation of Al Haymon as the year's most influential figure has little to do with his advice to last year's Person of the Year, Mayweather. It's about what he's doing with the other reported 130-plus fighters who now make up his clientele. If you have since 2014 was a year somewhat devoid of compelling top-level competition, you would not be off base. Light heavyweight champion Adonis Stevenson had opportunities to fight three fellow stars, Sergey Kovalev, Bernard Hopkins, and John Pascal. He avoided all three. Middleweight titleist Peter Quillin gave up a belt and a career-high purse to avoid a fight with Matt Corbo. Talented junior featherweight titleist Leo Santa Cruz fought a sparring partner on the undercard of Mayweather-Maidana 2. Adrian Broner and Lucas Batiste, logical opponents for each other, fought lesser opponents on the same card. Danny Garcia fought a 140-pound opponent so underqualified, even the governing bodies that market his belts wouldn't dignify the enterprise by charging a sanctioning fee. Rising welterweight force Keith Thurman fought long-faded former lightweight Julio Diaz, then fought a 40-year-old non-entity. All these stars are advised by Al Haymon, and that's the proverbial tip of the iceberg. It would be great for boxing, great, if one brilliant entrepreneur managed an astonishing client list of 130-plus fighters with the consistent objective of making the most attractive and competitive fights available within reasonable limits to protect their health and business prospects. But that hasn't been Haymon's game. He's about avoidance of risky competition. His formula has worked for star client Floyd Mayweather for a variety of reasons, among them that Mayweather took the right perceived risks earlier on versus Genaro Hernandez and Oscar De La Hoya to get to where he is now. But the Mayweather approach is not the right approach for the overall enhancement of boxing. Boxing fans want to see great fights, without which it is difficult to earn an identity as a great fighter. It's widely reported that for the next 2 years, Haymon will provide talent for as many as 40 boxing telecasts on NBC Sports, Net, and NBC. This would normally be cause to rejoice for everyone in the business, but no one is rejoicing now, unless the philosophy changes and viewers get to see the best fighting the best. And based on what happened to Haymon's clients in 2014, that's the last thing we can expect. So for gathering together the largest concentration of boxing talent in the history of the sport, and then mostly shielding that talent from the kind of competition that would make him a hero to the boxing world, Al Haymon is the 2014 TFG Person of the Year.
Oh wait. Wow.
I've been saying the same thing for close to a year now.
I don't even know where to start because I already did a video similar to it, but the difference now was that on January the 3rd, 2015, right now is January the 5th, 2015, The Pittsburgh Steelers were facing the Baltimore Ravens, and on a commercial break, there was it was very vague, it was epic, and what I saw was, I don't know if I said this before, but it was the NBC logo. Then it was like coming in March. Then you saw the ring in the background. Haymon Boxing, ladies and gentlemen, is real. I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live, your most complete boxing reporter on YouTube. I cover everything about boxing. And it's 2015. No more slacking. Now, I remember I said I got big plans for 2015. And now it's time to come through. But let's just keep it focused on the boxing news right now. In March of 2015, boxing will be coming to national television. NBC. Not NBC Sports. It will be on NBC Sports, but NBC Network. Now, there's so many questions. So many, and I'm trying to compact this into a video that's less than a half an hour long. Because I have to ask the question, well, what fighters are going to be on Showtime Boxing? Or is all fighters coming off of Showtime Boxing? And what about if we want to see a Keith Thurman versus a Timothy Bradley? Would that be on NBC or NBC Sports, or would that be? See, I guess, with all the confusion, I guess we need to focus on just isolated situations. So we're going to isolate Al Haymon. Alan Haymon of Alan Haymon Enterprises, Haymon Boxing, and Live Nation is worth way more than that bullshit Forbes article you people always pull up. Al Haymon's only worth $15 million. It's Forbes. Why would they lie? Listen, Forbes is an estimate. Forbes is also very credible, one of the most credible sources. But also, if it's a guy like Al Haymon, who nobody, not even HBO, can pull up a picture that's not the same picture everybody has themselves, where he's, So what I'm saying is this: the most powerful music promoter in the 7 realms, the most powerful the most powerful boxing promoter, manager, and or advisor in the history of the game. And for you to think that this guy is just worth some 15 million, what? Do you know at one point in time, Jay-Z and Beyonce was like, thank you, Al Haymon. Lil Wayne today is like, thank you, Al Haymon. Drake, thank you, Al Haymon. Eddie Murphy was like, thank you so much, Al Haymon. Whitney Houston, thank you, Al Haymon. MC Hammer, stop. Thank you, Al Haymon. Him time. It's hard doing these videos because people really don't know where I be coming from when I'm saying, like, yo, you don't know what you're talking about. Because a recent article, a recent interview, I believe it was Julian Jackson, I believe it was his trainer, I don't remember exactly, but was basically saying that Al Haymon operates like, well, he'll go to the fighters and say, well, for example, I'm going to put out a scenario. Go to Adrian Broner like, well, you want to fight Matisse? Adrian Broner be like, nah. Can you beat Matisse? Adrian Broner be like, nah. All right. Then you fight Emmanuel Taylor. But I don't see that because it makes no sense logically when I think to myself, well, you go to Peter Quillen and say, can you beat Matvey Korobov? Peter Quillen, nah. Do you want to fight Matvey Korobov? Nah. Do you want $1.4 million? Nah. Do you still want to keep your belt? Nah. I don't see how that makes sense. So for people to tell me, say, well, listen, it's not all Al Haymon's fault, then why is Peter Quillen less, minus $1.4 million? Why does Andy Lee have his belt after stopping Matvey Korobov? Peter Quillen is a better boxer, in my opinion, than Matvey Korobov and Andy Lee. He has no belt and not $1.4 million. So then Al Haymon just come out of his pocket and be like, listen, I'll take that fight, drop your belt here, take this 1.4, or take this 800,000 right now, or this 500,000. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure when you fight Danny fucking Jacobs or somebody like that, you get $1 million. Because if you don't know, Jermaine Taylor, the IBF 160-pound champion, who I thought, oh, okay, maybe Peter Quillen's going to fight him to get his belt back. He's fighting Sergio Mora. Why? Because Sergio Mora signed with Al Haymon, and Al Haymon promised him a title shot. as Jim Lampley was saying, are we fans rejoicing like, oh shit? I'm talking about the boxing fans, the real boxing fans like us. Are we rejoicing? And are we happy that, oh, we're going to have boxing on NBC? Wow. No, because why? Because here's what I think. This is just my personal opinion. Coming in March, most likely it will be on a day of somewhat of a big event because they want to have the traffic going to the channel of NBC. So think about this, right? You got NBC on, let's say, a Saturday night or something like that. You know, you got boxing. And you got a guy like Adrian Broner versus, we're going to get to that. Now, if it's your first card on NBC, you wanted to make an impact. So therefore, you're not going to put a headlining card for your first venture, especially when you have a very expensive commercial. And from what I'm hearing, there's going to be another full in-depth commercial during the Super Bowl that's actually going to highlight fighters to basically give us a look of who's going to be on NBC Boxing. So if you want to do something like that, you want to make sure it's somewhat of a high-profile fighter that will appeal to us and that will appeal to the new fans. A guy like Adrian Broner, despite the fact that he's walking around at about 180 pounds right now. A guy like Adrian Broner, somebody that can captivate the audience and most likely knock whoever there is in the fuck out. But here is where things get confusing, right? You have to think that if it's Adrian Broner can sell a fight himself, basically fighting a nobody. Yes, he could at this point in time. Sorry to say, but fans do want to see Adrian Broner. If you put Adrian Broner in there, let's say I'm just against a guy like Lee Purdy, you know, or a guy like Lee Selby. Lee Selby fight at 135 or 140. I keep forgetting. Anyway, but if you put him in there against a name that he's somewhat known, but realistically to an American boxing fan, he's unknown. But even if you put Adrian Broner in there, perfect example of Rod Salka. Now, to fans, well, to people who are watching NBC for any other reason, let's say, for instance, they're watching, I don't know what comes on NBC. Let's say they're watching some show on NBC, you know, within boxing is on, and they say, wow, boxing is on NBC. Let me check this out. And you see some guy getting beat up by an overmatched opponent. You see Adrian Broner or Denny Garcia beating the shit out of Rod Salka. So to that person who's not a boxing fan, who's watching boxing for the first time and God knows how long, and they're just interested and excited at seeing that, oh, it's boxing on NBC. Let me see what this is about. And you see somebody on NBC getting fucked up. That person is thinking like, oh, I'm going to tune into this. So for us, thinking about the Showtime situation, when you look at Denny Garcia fighting Rod Salka, Lamont Peterson versus Edgar Santana, when you think about that card, you think about, well, wait a minute, Showtime is still in that point where it's building boxing fans. Remember, Showtime boxing has only really been high profile for no more than 2 years now. No more than 2 years, and I'm talking about in this era, in this decade. So when you look at, they do a Denny Garcia versus a Rod Salka. Think about this. Those people that are watching Ray Donovan that said, that basically are not us who only have Showtime because of the boxing. Like me, I only have Showtime because of the boxing. But when you see those people that are watching Showtime and Ray Donovan go off and then boxing comes on, and you thinking for those people, they're like, oh shit, it's got boxing too? You know, they don't know nothing about the boxing we know. They don't know that Denny Garcia shouldn't be in there with a Rod Salka, but guess what? It gets high ratings because it's knockout. Knockouts produce high ratings. So going back to NBC, don't expect to see an Austin Trout, you know, headlining a card. I don't think the first card is going to be like that. I think the first card is going to be an exciting fight because it's spearhead. They want to make sure, you know, they take off the right way. And Haymon, honestly, he has a bad rep. So if there was 2 lines, one line of Haymon is good for boxing. Thank you so much, Al Haymon. I love you. And if you got no thank you, Al Haymon, you're bad for boxing. Which line right now on January the 5th, 2015 is going to be the longer line? It's going to be that Al Haymon, no thank you, is bad for boxing. Why? Is because a promoter, manager, advisor, I understand it's business, but at the same time, you're still obligated to put on the best fights that you can possibly put on. But when you're seeing 1, 2, 3 fights of these guys being main events, and I'm staying up until like 12 a.m., 1 a.m., and I'm getting older. And I gotta be watching some of this bullshit, like for example, Adonis Stevenson versus Dimitri Sahatsky. You know? Peter Quillen versus Lucas Konieczny. You know? I ask myself, for what? For what? And also with the experiments like Deontay Wilder, don't forget about Seth Mitchell, Gary Russell, and then finally, when Adrian Broner stepped up to fight, real competition outside of Paulie Malignaggi, which he could have almost lost, you think, well, what reason do we have to really believe in Al Haymon's plan? So why are we not excited that boxing is going to NBC? But you know what? A lot of us are brainwashed. And especially with what I do, people say, why don't you just boycott the fight, T Street? Then I think, well, wait a minute. Who's going to report the goddamn fight? So it's some cards. I be sitting there, I be like, man, this bullshit. Then I be like, man, this bullshit, man. It's some fights I don't want to watch. I don't really want to watch some of that shit, but I got to. Every televised fight, even if I do not report on it, I watch them all. Even if I'm in the bed, I watch them all. And sometimes I just get pissed off because I'm watching so much boxing and seeing the robberies and seeing the politics and knowing who in the division is not involved with the politics as far as guys who are not HBO fighters, guys that could be fighting this person, but they, it's like manipulation. Also, you have to point out that, Al Haymon fighters do not control their destiny. Al Haymon fighters are subjects of Al Haymon. Look, when you look at a guy like Floyd Money Mayweather, a guy that's at the top of the food chain, when you see him in an interview, you can't tell me that he doesn't call Al Haymon and Al Haymon be like, now listen, Floyd, make sure you tell him UTBE, and he don't do the numbers that you do. You're Floyd Money Mayweather. I think that really Haymon be like, okay, listen, this is what you want to do. Tell him that you are A-side. And remember to talk about the De La Hoya situation when he had pimped you, because we had to do that, my nigga. Put it this way. I'm trying to break down boxing into the simplest form. Race in boxing means a whole lot. And when it comes to a guy that's as smart as Al Haymon, you got to understand, you can't tell me that they're not using these type of tactics to be able to appeal to certain type of demographics. For example, the urban community. That when I look at it like this, I noticed that a lot of African Americans support Al Haymon. Why? Because the brother's getting paid. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you're really going to condone this because the brother's getting paid, Jack. I'm sick of all these promoters robbing all our brothers for all the years. Now we got Al Haymon putting on bullshit fights, and we like, man, I don't want to watch this shit, but the brother's getting paid. It's like, I'm thinking, like, what kind of logic is this? For example, when it comes to Floyd Mayweather not in fighting Manny Pacquiao, it's like, Pacquiao should have took the 40 million, Jack. No, Floyd, don't take that 100 million now. Turn it down because he should have took the 40. You getting paid, Jack. Some of this shit in boxing, when I be sitting there, like, having to read, and literally, I got to go through sometimes, like, 1,000 emails within a day, and that's just, I literally get over 1,000 emails a day, but I don't get to them all. And some of the comments I read, I be thinking, like, where is this bullshit logic coming from? So you're going to be paying for Showtime for a year for what? Like, $15 plus a year? $15 plus a month? Then paying for all these pay-per-views. I purchased a pay-per-view in April, in May, in June, in July. Was there a pay-per-view in August? No, in September. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Why? Like, realistically, why? Because I'm a boxing fan. That's what we do. So I feel obligated to be upset with certain people who don't put on big fights, especially when I watch all the fights. And I think, like, I'm not a clown. I'm not stupid. You could have had Broner and Matisse fight each other. Why not? You put them on the same card. That makes no sense. And that's what it'd be like, oh, well, he's not ready for him. No. Adrian Broner clearly called out Lucas Matisse. As a matter of fact, since we have nothing but time here and it's my show, I'm going to play the audio. You got Lucas Martin Matisse versus Roberto goddamn Ortiz. And then you get Adrian Broner versus Emmanuel Taylor. Hey, good fights. Good fights. They're very good fights. But guess what? What do they mean?
I'm watching something like fucked up happen. And I just
it's me again.
Stuck.
See, look, listen to me. I'm bitching.
Like when the dude Cave got robbed. I forgot his name. Tyson Cave, I think it was. On ESPN, I just was stuck. I'm looking like not processing. Like it's
crazy. But by the way, Subscribe, take some time. We talk about the real shit here. And listen, let me tell y'all something. Listen, I may insult you, like say some fucked up ass shit. Like if you try to clown me, then I'll clown you. But don't be a pussy. Like, if I talk shit to you, then talk shit back to me. You know, don't be like, hey, motherfucker, you know, like, no, I can't find it. I can't find it. See? I should have had it ready. Well, I can't. Oh, wait a minute. I should play one of my... Yeah, let me see if it's on my video. But let's see if we can hear it now, ladies and gentlemen. Please subscribe. Show calls for Death Wish Matisse. Oh, listen.
No disrespect to you, Jim, but he said I could have heard him. I knew he was going to be tough.
What happened there in the talk around, man? You were fighting. September 6, 2014, T-Street Controversy, T-Street Controversy Live. Adrian, bro.
I thought we were going to listen to him. I'm sorry, guys. I wanted to play for you the post-fight interview with Jim Gray, with Adrian Broner calling out Lucas Matisse. And Lucas Matisse fought on the same card. And I think to myself, why can't we get those fights? But long story short, since I want to be doing a half-an-hour video, I'm just pissed off. And I guess you can call this like part one. I'm going to do another video because I have a whole entire different spin on what I want to talk about in the next video involving this whole Haymon saga, because nobody, like realistically, nobody's happy that he's going to NBC. The only thing boxing fans are happy about is that we're going to be able to see more boxing. It's going to be for people who don't have HBO Showtime easily accessible. But then we got to talk about the business side. We got to talk about, well, where's the money going to come from, things like that. So I'm not going to be sitting up here doing no 40-minute video. I'm just going to wait, you know, maybe a day or two, do another video on this. And yes, I'm back to a full boxing schedule now. I'm going to be doing videos every day for about 3 to 6 videos a day I'll be doing. You know, now I had my little Christmas vacation and break. So it's time to get it popping. T-Street Controversy Live.